station of St. Kitts and Nevis.
From the VON Newsline, this is the VON Major Newscast.
Good evening, I am Tammy Reed in with your VON Major News package for today, Monday, October 7, 2019. In our lead stories, nationally, Captain of USNS Comfort debunks rumors of doctors conducting suspicious medical practices, and individuals urged to take note of imminent national labeling standards. Regionally, Bahamas government described as savage and cold-hearted for moving to deport migrants post-Hurricane Dorian. Internationally, judge orders Trump to hand over 8 years of tax return. And in sports, Amazon Warriors beat Tridents in qualifier match of Hero CPL. We'll have the details to these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, VON.
Welcome back, and now the national news in detail. Lieutenant Commander, Family Physician, and Captain of U.S. Naval Ship USNS Jeremy Kennesion addressed the negative publicity being circulated that the doctors aboard the ship are in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis to conduct suspicious medical practices. He made this statement during an interview in St. Kitts, which was carried here on VON Radio on Friday, October 4th.
It's too bad that I've heard some of those things as well, and I think a couple things I would say is, one, I think we've had some great experience and great success in some of the islands we've already been to here in the Eastern Caribbean. We've seen nearly 10,000 patients in the last 2 stops we've had. So I think some of that word has been out there, but I think we've seen some wonderful patients and very interested patients who are coming to see us and trying and get some help, and we've been trying to provide whatever we can for them. I would say it's been a large success for us. Not to mention across the entire mission. We've seen almost 41,000 patients over the course of our 9 country stops thus far, and we're looking to continue seeing patients all the way through until the end.
He then further listed some of the procedures the medical crew will be conducting on the ship and on the ground in St. Kitts. The places in St. Kitts are the Antioch Baptist Church, Limekeel, and the St. Paul's Community Center.
So at every medical site, we have really 3 what I would call lines of care. Okay, we have dentists, we have optometrists, which are folks who can evaluate the eyes, and we also have general medicine physicians. So these range from myself, like a family physician, to internal medicine physicians, to medical specialists. And so we provide really those 3 lines of care. We have a number of different surgeons that can provide these operation capabilities. Some of the most common ones I would say are cataract surgery. We also do hernia surgeries, gallbladder surgeries. We do a number of surgeries. But it's important to remember these are not extremely complex and long surgeries simply because of the time we're here. So there are certain lateral limits on what we can do safely in the amount of time that we are here.
That's Captain of the U.S. Naval Ship Comfort, Lieutenant Commander Jeremy Kennesion. The U.S. Navy hospital ship USNS Comfort is offering free medical services in St. Kitts until October 10th. The St. Kitts Bureau of Standards, SKNBS, will be giving more time for individuals, especially businesses, to familiarize themselves with the new labeling standards to be adopted soon. Head of Standardization and Chemist Jermaine Mike said the adoption notice of the national labeling standards were published in the Gazette in June 2019, and that legally after 60 days, that is August 2019, it should have been adopted, but the Bureau has deemed it necessary to give persons more time to take note of the new labeling standards. While the labeling standards for pre-packaged food is voluntary, Mr. Mike said that it is important to adopt and follow it as it will soon become law. In the Federation, this standard will affect retailers, agro-processors, bakers, caterers, and more. Internationally, it will affect food that enters the country without the necessary requirements such as the English language. Benefits of having standards with respect to goods are that standards help manufacturers and distributors that is making or selling products and services to be more recognized, and it makes it safe for consumers to consume. And once you are following a particular standard, customers have more confidence that you are doing something correct, according to Mr. Mike. Government of St. Kitts and Nevis continues to take steps to ensure that members of the differently abled community can have productive lives in the Twin Island Federation. Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Sean Richards, said in the wake of the aforementioned that improving the functional capacity of persons with disabilities here in St. Kitts and Nevis has been central to the Team Unity administration's interaction and engagements with this very important constituency. Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, at his monthly press conference last Thursday, October 3rd, was quoted as saying, "My government has been mainstreaming care and consideration of the differently abled in our society. Projects which were undertaken by the government to aid differently abled persons include the incorporation of wheelchair-accessible sidewalks in the road upgrade in St. Kitts. Sidewalks with wheelchair access have also been included in the plan to enhance the South Frigate Bay area, specifically in the vicinity of the Popular Strip." Prime Minister Harris also referenced two of the transportation stations in St. Kitts, the East Line Bus Terminal and the Bastia Ferry Terminal, both of which have wheelchair ramps. Additional developments will be put in place over time as changes are made to reflect provisions outlined in the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Prime Minister Harris signed the convention on September 27, 2019, while in New York for the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA. Commissioner of Corrections Terrence James attended a two-day bi-regional high-level conference on the use of alternative measures to imprisonment, which was held in late September in Uruguay. The conference was held on September 19th and the 20th, 2019 at the Radisson Hotel in Montevideo and was sponsored by the European Union. The aim of the event was to reflect on the management of criminal, correctional, and reintegration policies, to present measures alternative to deprivation of liberty, and to raise awareness of the advantages offered by novel and effective proposals, including judicial, economic, social, and political terms for all countries. Commissioner James was among some 150 representatives from more than 30 countries from the European Union, Latin America, and the Caribbean. The topics discussed included the cost-effectiveness of alternative sentencing, reasons for prison overcrowding, the advantages and disadvantages of alternative sentencing. World Post Day will be observed on Wednesday, October 9th. The theme for this year's observance is "Delivering Development is Delivering Progress." According to UN.org, October 9th is the anniversary of the establishment of the Universal Postal Union, UPU, in 1874 in Bern, Switzerland. It was declared World Post Day by the UPU Congress held in Tokyo, Japan in 1969. Since then, countries across the world participate annually in the celebrations. The purpose of World Post Day is to bring awareness to the post role in the everyday lives of people and businesses, as well as its contribution to global social and economic development. Here on Nevis, a month of activities has been organized by the Postal Services. Meantime, World Mental Health Day will be observed on Thursday, October 10th. World Mental Health Day is organized by the World Federation for Mental Health. Here on Nevis, a week of activities has also been organized for the observance. This year's observance is supported by WHO, the International Association for Suicide Prevention, and United for Global Mental Health. Officials at the St. Kitts Water Services Department, WSD, have indicated that measures are being implemented to improve the water supply on the island. Assistant Water Engineer in St. Kitts, Mr. Charles Paris, outlined some of the plans the department has during last Wednesday's edition of Working for You.
We have a system there that really requires some upgrading. The infrastructure of it, the storage tanks, the pipes transmitting the water from storage to distribution. Some of these pipes have been laid decades ago and it's ripe for an upgrade. And we are working towards doing that. We have a few projects there that will deal with introducing new wells that will give us additional water. And we are also considering desalination.
Mr. Paris explained that there is a major disadvantage with having groundwater as a major water source.
When it comes to rainfall, our system, or any system basically, if you depend on groundwater, you're depending on rainfall. If you don't get that rainfall, we don't have the recharge that we need at our wells, and that is a conundrum that we're in. We have to manage the resource, and we also have to manage supply.
When asked if there is a plan for future periods of drought, considering future impacts that climate change will have, this was his response.
That's where desalination, I would say, would come in. It is the ultimate for me, and for most places would be the ultimate contingency, if you could use that word, against climate change, yes? Because I think one of the most devastating you could call it the most devastating agent of climate change would be drought. And there's very little you could do. If you're not getting the rainfall and you have to manage the groundwater resource, what do you do?
Assistant Water Engineer in St. Kitts, Mr. Charles Paris. St. Kitts and Nevis's Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, announced that over the past 4 years, home ownership levels in St. Kitts and Nevis have significantly increased. Specifically, the levels have increased for first-time home owners. Prime Minister Harris, speaking at his monthly press conference on Thursday, October 3rd, explained why the program was created.
We determined that this was an important part of the empowerment of our people. And while the government through the NHC and through other agencies has been targeting those at the lower level, other persons deserve opportunities too. And by giving them the substantial discount via the waiver of duty-free, we make home ownership easier.
He also explained some of the benefits for first-time homeowners under this program and spoke on the progress of the program since its inception.
Under the first program in 2014, 114 applications were approved. Since 2015, 525 applications have been approved and building materials totaling $147 million. Under this program, persons are building their first home, are afforded duty-free concessions by the government, and all material necessary for the construction of their home.
Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris. A sitting of the Nevis Island Assembly is slated for Tuesday, October 8th at 10 a.m. at the Assembly's Chambers, Hamilton House in Charlestown. 4 bills will be introduced. According to the order paper circulated by Clerk of the Assembly, Ms. Myra Williams, they are namely the Integrity in Public Life Amendment Bill 2019, the Nevis Taxi and Bus Operators Amendment Bill 2019, the Nevis Animals Trespass and Pound Amendment Bill 2019, and the Nevis Physical Planning and Development Control Amendment No. 2 Bill 2019. The sitting will commence with the formal entry of the President of the Assembly, Honorable Farrell Smithen, followed by prayers, a motion for the approval of the order paper as circulated, messages from the Deputy Governor General of Nevis, Her Honor Mrs. Hailita Liburd, announcements by the President, papers to be laid, statements by ministers, personal explanations, the introduction of bills and first reading, and the adjournment. Initially, the sit-in was slated for Tuesday, September 17th, but was rescheduled twice, October 1st and now October 8, 2019. The last sit-in was held on Tuesday, May 21st. The third sit-in of the Nevis Island Assembly for 2019 will be broadcast live here on Von Radio 860 AM. Finally, young teachers, the future of the profession. That is the theme for World Teacher Day, also known as International Teachers Day, which was celebrated around the world on Saturday, October 5th. It is held annually on October 5th. Established in 1994, it commemorates the signing of the 1966 UNESCO ILO recommendation concerning the status of teachers, which is a standard-setting instrument that addresses the standards and situations of teachers around the world. World Teachers Day aims to focus on appreciating, assessing, and improving the educators of the world and to provide an opportunity to consider issues related to teachers and teaching. That's the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com or check us out on Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Life can be more fulfilling when we take the time out to smell the roses. And that's why your friends and family at the Bank of Nevis are experts at picking the flowers that best describe you. Whether you're planning to treat yourself after a long work week or finally getting around to that closet update, you deserve all the special things that life has to offer. And the Bond Visa card is here to help you achieve it. With just a swipe, you can turn a last-minute lunch date with friends and family into something worth remembering with memories that will last a lifetime. Pampering yourself just got a whole lot easier. And after all, you deserve every refreshing moment of it. The ability to make your travel arrangements at your own convenience, whether by sea or by air, now rests within the palm of your hand. With a single swipe, the Bond Visa card can put a world of difference between life and truly living. Whereas the only limit you may have is your own imagination. Apply today. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life.
Welcome back, and now the regional news in detail. Out of the Bahamas, a local human rights group says it has placed international human rights groups on alert as the government moves to expel immigrants affected by Hurricane Dorian, which devastated Abaco and Grand Bahama last month. Rights Bahamas says the move will cause statelessness, affect children, and deny many their legal right to citizenship. When the Category 5 hurricane tore through the northern Bahamas September 1st to the 3rd, it destroyed many shanty towns in Abaco, where homes to migrants, some legal and others illegal, were destroyed. According to Caribbean 360, while addressing Parliament last Thursday, the first sit-in since the powerful hurricane, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis served notice to all those who are illegal that they can leave voluntarily or they will be forced to leave. A day after Immigration Minister Johnson insisted that hurricane shelters would not be used by illegal immigrants to circumvent the law. Attorney General Carl Bethel also called for migrants who have lost their jobs because of Hurricane Dorian to leave the country. Rights Bahamas said in a statement, however, we condemn this sudden about-face from the government's earlier declaration. The group said it was also reporting the matter to the UN Refugee Agency with a view to seeking precautionary measures to protect the migrant population in the Bahamas from arbitrary and illegal actions. Out of Barbados, Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, says her patience is running thin as she challenges the world to tackle the climate crisis. She warned of a backlash of mass migration to the world's richest and biggest polluters, saying an influx of climate refugees can be expected in coming years as a consequence of failing to take action to stop climate change. In September 2014, small island developing states met in Apia, Samoa for the third International Conference on SIDS and adopted the Small Island Developing States Accelerated Modalities of Action, also known as Samoa Pathway. It is a 10-year plan to address challenges faced by small islands. During last week's United Nations General Assembly, the world body convened a one-day high-level review of progress made in addressing SID's priorities in the first 5 years since implementation. According to the world leaders, progress towards sustainable development in SIDS will require a major increase in investment. Out of Haiti. Stones flew and barricades burned in Haiti's capital on Monday as the country entered its fourth week of protests that have paralyzed the economy. Opposition leaders asked supporters to gather in front of the National Palace to demand the resignation of President Jovenel Moïse, who had been scheduled to attend a government ceremony nearby. The call came after thousands of Haitians marched in front of the United Nations headquarters on Friday in one of the largest demonstrations in weeks. A large crowd gathered shortly after dawn and threw stones at police, continuing demonstrations in which at least 17 people have been killed and nearly 200 injured, including the son of Dominique Guillon, who was hit by a car as he set up barricade last week. The UN Mission for Justice Support in Haiti issued a statement last Sunday saying it was deeply concerned about the effect of what it called a protracted political crisis and urged the government to ensure the normal functioning of schools, hospitals, and emergency services and allow aid to reach the most vulnerable people. Finally, out of Jamaica, a parliamentary committee has recommended that it should be made mandatory for sex offenders who have relocated or returned to the island to register in the sex offender registry in Jamaica. Failure to register would constitute an offense which may be punishable by imprisonment. Minister of Justice Delroy Chuck made the disclosure as he opened debate in the House of Representatives on the report of the Joint Select Committee appointed to complete the review of the Sexual Offences Act, the Offences Against the Persons Act, the Domestic Violence Act, and the Child Care and Protection Act. That's it for our regional stories. Stay with us for news around the world. Welcome back, and now the international news in detail. A judge has ordered U.S. President Donald Trump to hand over 8 years of his tax returns to New York investigators. The judge rejected arguments by the president's lawyers that Mr. Trump enjoyed total immunity while in office. The ruling helps an investigation into hush money paid to 2 women who claimed they had affairs with Mr. Trump. Prosecutors said in a court filing that every U.S. president since Jimmy Carter had voluntarily released his tax returns before or upon taking office. A Scottish judge has dismissed a move to force Boris Johnson to comply with a law aimed at avoiding a no-deal Brexit. Campaigners had wanted to ensure that the Prime Minister would write to the EU to request an extension if no deal is in place by 19th October. They argued that statements made by the government show that it could not be trusted. But Lord Pentland said there could be no doubt that the Prime Minister had agreed to abide by the law. As a result, he said there was no need to coerce orders against the UK government or against the Prime Minister. Finally, U.S. troops have begun withdrawing from positions in northern Syria, paving the way for a Turkish operation against Kurdish fighters in the border area. Kurdish-led forces have until now been a key U.S. ally in Syria, where they helped defeat the Islamic State group, but Turkey regards them as terrorists. The main Kurdish-led group called the surprise U.S. move a stab in the back. But President Donald Trump defended the pullout, saying it was time to get out of these ridiculous, endless wars. That brings us to the end of our news segments. The latest in sports is next.
Insurance Company Limited, where you get more coverage for less.
Welcome back, and now the sports in detail. In CPL cricket, as the Hero Caribbean Premier League CPL continues, the Guyana Amazon Warriors face the Barbados Tridents in a qualifier match on Sunday, October 6. Scores were Guyana Amazon Warriors 218 for 3, Barbados Tridents 188 for 8, 20 overs, target 219. Amazon Warriors won by 30 runs. Meanwhile, the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots were defeated by the Trinbago Knight Riders in an eliminator match October 6, 2019. Scores were as follows: St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots 125 for 7, Trinbago Knight Riders 128 for 4. Trinbago Knight Riders won by 6 wickets with 8 balls remaining. In Hero CPL cricket, the Trinbago Knight Riders went up against the Guyana Amazon Warriors on October 4th at the Providence Stadium in Guyana. Score were as follows: Trinbago Knight Riders 143 for 5, Amazon Warriors 144 for 3. Amazon Warriors won by 7 wickets. In athletics, a runner has died after taking part in the Cardiff Half Marathon on Sunday, organizers have said. The participant was treated by a medical emergency team on the course and then taken to the University Hospital of Wales, where they died, according to Run for Wales, the not-for-profit organization that runs sporting events in Wales. The organizers said everyone connected with the race was devastated and a full review would be carried out. They have not released the runner's name. The chief executive, Matt Newman, said, "Our deepest sympathies go out to the family of the runner who tragically passed away after taking part in the event." Finally, in athletics, Demish Gay closed fast but not fast enough and missed out on a medal after finishing a credible 4th in the men's 400 meters final in a personal best of 44.46 seconds, while Akeem Bloomfield finished 8th in 45.25 seconds. Steve Gardner, the lanky Bahamian, certainly lifted the spirit of his battered country devastated by Hurricane Dorian when he ran the race of his life to strike gold in 43.48 seconds, the 6th fastest time in history. Meantime, Jamaica's women sped to a season best of 42.11 seconds and safely into the final of the 4x100 meters relay final. The quartet of Natalie White, Shelley and Fraser Price, Jonelle Smith and Natasha Morrison held off the flying Asha Phillips on anchor for Great Britain, who was second almost in a season's best of 42.25 seconds. That's it for the sports segment. The general weather forecast is next. Welcome back. Another local weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. Weather tonight, fair to partly cloudy and hazy conditions with a 40% or moderate chance of showers mainly before midnight. Winds east at 10 to 18 knots. Seas 1.5 to 2.1 meters or 5 to 7 feet with northeasterly swells of 1.2 to 1.8 meters or 4 to 6 feet moving in later this evening. A high surf advisory will become necessary by that time. And sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:02 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Monday, October 7th, 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, Captain of USNS Comfort debunks rumors of doctors conducting suspicious medical practices, and individuals urged to take note of imminent national labeling standards. Regionally, Bahamas government described as savage and cold-hearted for moving to deport migrants post-Hurricane Dorian. Internationally, judge orders Trump to hand over 8 years of tax returns. And in sports, Amazon Warriors beat Tridents in qualifier match of Hero CPL. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Tammy Reed, wishing you a pleasant evening.